Welcome to the Behind the Rise podcast hosted by the Perina brothers. My name is Angelo and I am joined by my brothers and business partners, Lucho and Valentino. Today we are with our special guest, Antonio Delelio, CEO of Lilly's Pasta. On this show, we will speak to successful local, national, and global entrepreneurs, as well as discuss lessons we've learned in our 15-year career building a 9-figure organization. We are in the middle of our journey now and want to share with you all the wins, losses, and lessons learned behind the rise. Wow. All right. So today we are with our special guest, Antonio Delelio, CEO of Lilly's Pasta. So Lilly's Pasta is a local fresh pasta company started in 1986 by his mother and father when they immigrated here from Italy. In 2017, he purchased that business from his family and is now on a trajectory to make Lilly's one of the largest national pasta brands in the country. So welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you, Angelo. Thank you for having us. Your whole family, too. Thank you, everybody.
No, thank you for coming. So we could have probably already filmed 3 podcasts already because we've talked a lot about all the similarities between our families, all, you know, how it is working in family businesses as we're growing and doing these things. So it's been a great conversation so far. And, you know, we're excited to have all our viewers listening and learning from what you've been doing.
Thanks.
So let's start by 1986, right? Now, were you born in Italy or were you born here?
I was born in Avellino.
Oh, okay.
Avellino, Italy, yeah.
All right, so you were born there. Your parents came here from Italy in 1986. They brought you with them.
Yeah, thank God.
They didn't leave you behind?
They tried. Maybe. Who knows what was going on that day.
So Lilly's, that you guys have an impeccable reputation for quality, right? And I know your mom was Lilly.
She is, yeah.
So, and she, she was known for, being an incredibly hard worker, having quality in the pasta.
Yeah.
Why don't you talk a little bit about when they started the company in 86 and kind of how that started?
Yeah. 1978, I actually was here in America. I was 3 years old. We were in New York. My mother was trying to make pasta for us that day. And crazy, she went to the supermarket and found Chef Boyardee and Prince Spaghetti. I think the aha moment started that day where she's like, I got to come back to America and make pasta. Americans need better. The United States has an opportunity for pasta. And that's where it all started. That aha moment, that visionary of her looking at my dad. So she went back to Italy, and from 78 to 86, all of the engineering, the education, studying lamination, extrusion, piston-driven fillings, technology, flours, like all the real things that you need to do to put that plant together. It's one thing just like mixing flour and water, but then how do you do it, with a vision of making it the best? And for her, the best was the healthiest. It was about making something really, really healthy and bringing a healthy, non-processed, clean product to America.
Yep. You can relate to that.
Yeah.
Even today, that's still the trend. That trend's not going nowhere. Healthy, clean ingredients, that's just going to keep growing as the years go on.
Yeah. And she's got the saying, what you put in your stomach is what comes out, is what you become.
You are what you eat.
So put to something good.
No, I like that. So she came here in 78 to visit. She saw that what Americans were eating was trash.
Yeah.
And she went back and said to her dad, like, we got to go there. There's an opportunity to show Americans what real pasta should be like.
Yeah. And my dad was like, say pazza, pretty much. No, we're going to do it. My mom grew up with just this entrepreneurial spirit since she was a kid. She was, counting strawberries, doing math at a young age, just feeding cows, like going back home cooking. Like she just grew up in this place that she knew she wasn't going to be in the village. Falling in love with my dad was her exit out of the village. And that was like the best thing that happened to her. And the best thing that happened to my father, because my mom, was 25 years younger than my father.
Oh.
So she was really that, the reputation of a hard worker. My mom embodied all that. She was the person, the beam of the family. My father was the guy that was going to bring the product to the market, and sell it. So we arrived in 1986. We're in, because of green card reasons, we came through the port of JFK. Came to Boston because we had aunts and uncles here. It's very successful, helped us kind of get situated. And this doesn't get talked enough about, but finding a few really good people that really saw something in you to help you. No house, like just, you got to understand, a suitcase with probably prayers, dreams, hopes, and a bunch of clothes inside of it. $126 in her pockets, and no clue how she's going to do what she's going to do with 3 machines that are coming from Italy. on a boat that the guy trusted her with. My mom was working for this guy, Giampiero Bellotti, and his brother was the engineer for Enzo Ferrari for the mufflers in Italy.
Oh, cool.
This guy offered my mother total control of northern pasta operations in all of Italy. My mother said, Giampiero, I told you I want to go to Italy. I want to go to America.
Wow.
And that's how this whole thing, really evolved.
Wow, that took some balls, huh?
Yeah. Yeah.
So she gets here. She has help to kind of get situated, right? People who are, see something in her, right? And then she started with some machines. Like, how did she start getting accounts? Like, what was like the grassroots?
Yeah, the goosebumps just thinking about this right now.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I mean, that's
crazy.
that's how,
Yeah.
People think like, to get in business, they see you now, but they got to think back to when it started, right?
Yeah.
Like, how did it really like get off the ground? Because it's just a matter, you could tell the story, but.
Yeah. It's, I think people like my mom all have one thing in common. And it's this failure is not an option. The alternative is I'm fucked and I'm going right back to where I was anyway.
Yeah.
So my back's up against the wall. There's no further back I can go. And I'm determined to do something. And then you got to look at 3 kids in the face. That's got to be something for a parent to look at 3 little kids and say, I'm not going to do this to them. We were talking about this, protect them, put a roof over their heads. I got my husband who by the way, my father had a heart attack a month into us being here.
Wow.
So that was just a big hit. So now you owe $200,000 in machines. We came here legally, so we had no insurance. The heart operation was another $250,000. She's at $500,000 to $700,000 in debt before the fucking doors of, excuse my language, of the rent even starts.
Wow.
Before we even find a spot, she's already like, can you imagine? Like, you already just want to get somewhere to start, and then you get whacked with all these unexpected medical bills, the machines that have to start getting paid 6 months into it. And again, just a few good people. One of the guys that really was very, very helpful was Pasqualina at the corner of Main Street. Getting the little shop there where she started, where today's Ottavio's barber shop, where I get my hair cut, which I haven't had in a few weeks. It's growing pretty fast. But, I'm going back right now, and, the doors opened, and it was just hard because flowers were different, water was different. Everything she studied in Italy suddenly changed. Humidity counts were different. The atmosphere was different. Just all little things was just different. So now she had to go through this learning curve, and she just kept pressing in moments of wanting to quit. Like, what do we do? Matter of fact, my father came home with, you sure we want to do this? I just found this flyer of, Dunkin' Donuts. They give you the coffee, the cups, and all this stuff. We can open up a store. Sometimes I think back, wow, where would we be today if we did that?
Holy shit.
That would have been a pivot. Yeah.
That's a pivot.
A different type of podcast today, yeah.
Yeah, right. I learned English. I was speaking English in 90 days. So that was one thing that really was beneficial, because my father would pick me up from school with samples, and he would take me to the North End. He would take me what today's the waterfront. We'd start going to the hotels, and the product within about a month was getting very well received right away. Lilly, what do we do with this pasta? What do we do with, radicchio and speck ravioli? Still today, if you say something to people, radicchio and speck, what is that? Eggplant and fontina, caponata ravioli, lobster and crab at the time, now all lobster, asparagus ravioli, egg, all these things that chefs were like, what do we do with this stuff? So there was this educational period, and it was attractive, it was unique, it was a novelty. And all of a sudden, the business just started slowly gripping. Bills were getting paid. And I think there was just this injection into my DNA that, this is what I had to do. I'm not sure, I understood what was happening, because, I'm 11, 12, 13, 14 years old.
Yeah.
But I knew that, I had to do something to help out my mom, right? I had to go to the plant. I had to, Mom, are you okay? Is everything good? Making deliveries with Papa, and then, as the business progressed, you start to identify what's happening.
Yeah.
But it was very entrepreneurial. It was very loud. It was very, I feel like turbulence is the right word. A lot of, not just passion, but a lot of uncertainty.
Yeah.
You know, bills are coming in and we got to pay them, and I got to stick to this. And my mom, her love for doing this was there from day one.
Yeah.
That's something that I just remember from day one till the last day, no matter how hard some days were, that love and that desire, that passion to do something really, really good, that never changed. That was a real example for me.
That's awesome. Before we move on, when you said one of the people that helped was Pasqualina, do you mean my grandmother, Pasqualina, or a different Pasqualina?
Pasqualina, what was her last name? She owned Regina's.
Oh, okay.
Because our grandmother's name. Grandma was like a North End legend, I think. She used to sling fish, right?
Yeah.
Well, I think your mother's father also played a role because they owned the Abundanza building, right?
Yes.
So upstairs, you guys had an apartment.
Yeah.
And that apartment was rented to my big brother at the time, my half brother, who was the delivery guy as well.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Small world, huh?
And then, you know, when we moved across the street, you know, I'll never forget Tommy Floramo, the meat falls off the bone. You know, he looked at my mother, handshake, Lily, I know you're going to pay me. Here's the building. No lease, no nothing for now. Just open up.
Wow.
And my mom would give me the check every month, and I'd bring it down to him. And still we're in that building today that we own now. But, you know, that was also another big move that we couldn't afford. And this man, you know, and his family trusted my mom. Like, there's these moments of trust that I think people really see that you are there for a purpose. There's a real serious reason why you're there. You're not there to screw somebody. And that's why our journeys, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 key people along the way that truly are the reason why we graduate into a new part of that journey. And we can't forget those moments. And that's why I think as we grow, we want to give back because we remember who helped us.
Right.
I think it's a circle of giving back as you start to succeed.
Yeah, 100%. So now the sales, right? So now you guys are going door to door to get the sales, right? Directly to, you're not dealing with distributors at this point. You're bringing pasta from your place right to the restaurants, right? Creating relationships with the chefs and the restaurant owners, all that stuff.
Well, you had a storefront too.
Yeah.
Did you start with the storefront?
No, I mean, it started with my mom doing some rosticceria, some pizza. You know, there was a barber shop next door, the main event. His customers would come in, you know, 75 cents a slice. You know, wow, we got $40 at the end of the day. We're going to be able to pay the water at the end of the month. Like, just crazy, like things you're hearing as a kid. You're like, wow. So, you know, all of a sudden you get to become a business owner. Those conversations don't change. They're the same exact things that they were going through.
Yeah.
It was building relationships.
Yeah.
So that was a really big, impactful thing for me, understanding what that process was like. It was picking up the phone and making those extra calls and calling chefs, do you need the product? So it was just building that trust, that loyalty, and then delivering consistency, like giving them something that was really good that people were bragging about.
Yeah.
Where I found my aha moment that took, you know, I don't know how long, but there wasn't a day that I didn't come home proud. Like, there wasn't a day that no matter how friggin' effed up my day was that I didn't come home was like, wow, every person I saw today said, tell your mother I said hi. Tell your mother I said hi. Tell your mother she makes the best pasta. And so, like, when you start to hear that over and over and over, today I struggle to say we make the best pasta. I don't think you'll ever hear me say we make the best product. I relate to this in sports with, like, you think about Michael Jordan, one of the greatest athletes ever, a Tom Brady. You never hear them saying they're the best. Like, every customer in the world, every fan they have says it for them.
Yeah.
Because the work that they put into knowing why they should feel that way but not have to say it is truly something that should make you proud.
Yeah.
What made you guys go directly to the restaurants rather than like stores or like little markets, or you know what I mean? Like, what made that start?
My mother saw a need to be on those menus. You know, if you think about pasta in Italy, it's primo corso, secondo corso, 5-6 days a week. I think, to be honest with you, my mom was ready to give the pasta to anybody and whoever wanted it, because it's not just like, hey, we got it made, we're just going after restaurants. But I don't think there was a need. I don't think there was any markets at the time that actually sold fresh pasta. I don't think it existed. It was a lot of dry pasta. And so when you tried to talk to a market, there was just no need for it. No, I don't have a refrigerator, or, you know, I don't have need for it. I got a lot of nice imported dry pasta. But the restaurants, on the other hand, they liked it, and they liked it right away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, that was the early days, right? And then like, is there anything that like a moment that happened as you guys were growing that really helped like create stability in the company, or was it always turbulence and fighting to a certain point?
I believe that the turbulence cannot stop, because that's a moment of like you're gonna get punched in the gut. That's the moment of where you feel like you're like you've gotten there, and there's just room for improvement everywhere in our life, especially at like home and at work.
Yeah.
And so my mom was I was telling you this earlier, she was just obsessed with the littlest things, from a ravioli on the floor, picking it up, looking at an employee saying 25 cents here, $3 when we sell it to the customer, $12 when they sell it to their customer. There was this just mindset, extra pasta thrown away, machines that were running while there was no operator next to it, like just all these little things, water running at the sink with nobody there, like just little crazy things that you guys being in food, you probably know what I'm talking about.
Exactly what you're talking about, yeah.
Where things were supposed to be so that you find them or somebody else finds them, how to answer the phone so that the customer shuts the phone off and says, damn, that person was interesting. Yeah. It wasn't a, welcome to Dunkin' Donuts, I can help you, see you later. It was, hi, how you doing? What's your name? What is it that you like about our product? Like, it was just that extra couple of questions. Is there anything that you're looking for today that, I can be of extra service for? Like, there's an intention and a purpose to create value.
Yeah.
And that's so, I believe it's just so not undervalued. It's just, there's not enough appreciation for what that extra little bit of good energy does.
Yeah.
And we were talking about today's generation, the entitlement phase, that's expected. You got to work on that.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to trust me on day one when you meet me. Better yet, we were taught in life not to trust anybody.
Right.
What are you going to do to earn it?
So now, the business is growing, right? It's a family business, right?
Yeah.
We were talking about the old school mentality versus like the growth and scaling mentality, right? That's something that a lot of people, I think, struggle with in family businesses, something that we've dealt with, and I know you have as well. So in 2017, right, that's an opportunity came for you to, basically purchase the business at that time, in that way that you can, kind of put your vision on it, put your stamp on it, and see, where you can take it. So that was a pivotal moment, right? Now, what are some of the things that, you've done, like, since that time that, you've put into place? Like, what was your vision at that time, and kind of how are you doing?
Actually, I have a question before you even get into that.
Yeah.
How did that? Well, one question. Did you ever work anywhere else besides Lilly's at that time, or did you go to school? Did you go to college? Like, what was that process, or were you just working throughout?
Let me just peel back the onion. So, high school dropout.
There it is. Got it.
School wasn't for me. Worked only at Lily's my whole life. So I don't even know what it's like to work for somebody else. Wanted a motorcycle in high school so bad, my mother wouldn't buy it for me. So I went to work for Ponte Vecchio in Danvers. And in 90 days, I made more cash in 90 days to buy an F3 Honda completely cash. So I hustled as a busboy. So the busboy makes 10% of what the waiter makes.
Right.
So just think in 90 days to make $5,000 in 93.
Wow.
And I'll never forget the guy on the River Beach Parkway. You're going to crash as soon as you walk off my lot.
Thank you for the well wishes. Catch you later, buddy.
This is your first bike?
Yeah.
I got this. And sure enough, on my way to Ponte Vecchio, I dropped the bike on Route 1.
Oh, wow.
Tuxedo and everything. I show up to the restaurant. Luigi goes, what the fuck? What's going on over here? You're bleeding from your knee. What are you doing over here?
Yeah.
quick dump.
I'm here to work.
Yeah.
But I think just like, if you think about that, here's a kid that just crashed on his bike, should have went home. But there's some sort of responsibility that says, I got to get to work.
Yeah.
I can't not go. This guy depends on me. And I think that's something that is in your DNA from some sort of, in my case, it was my mother.
It's a very
responsibility.
It's a very common immigrant mentality. I feel like the hardest working people in this country are people of immigrants, right? Like they have that, it's in your DNA. Like I feel like people that are born here and raised a different way, like the culture is just different. They don't have that mentality. It's more of like, oh, I don't want to go to work today because I don't feel well. Rather than the immigrant mentality is, I have to go to work today because my friend Joseph works here and he's relying on me to go there, and I don't want him to be slammed if I'm not there today. So it's like a little different mentality.
It's responsibility.
Yeah, it's responsibility.
That's the word right there. It's
You only take it for granted. You know, people who only have seen what's going on here in America, you know, think that it's bad or whatever. Then they make, you know, they take it for granted. They don't have any idea what's going on in the rest of the world.
That's true.
I was at an event this past weekend, and one of the speakers, he must have brought it up at least 10 times. He speaks all over the world, and he's like, people in other countries, I mean, people here have no idea what it's like in people, you know, in other countries, and the people,
the goosebumps again.
yeah, like the people, even like he has like people working in different countries. It's like the people that are working for his company in other countries are 10 times harder workers, 10 times more efficient. They care so much about the job and the opportunity that it's like, I don't even want to deal with people from here because they're so entitled, right? And it's a scary place to be as a country and as you know, as like a whole generation, right? So we hope that people, you know, wake up, I guess.
I think people also forget, like, these people in like these horrible countries, like their situations are so bad, they risk their lives to come here.
Right, I know.
With their kids, their children, 3-year-old on their back, going through crazy waters and going over the border. Like, what do you think they do that just to come here? Like, some people have no clue. Even when we go to Sicily, I feel like the unemployment there's like 50%. No one's working.
Right.
You know, it's like people have no type of perception.
No one's working. Everybody's stealing.
Exactly,
Right.
of how bad it is in other places and how good it is here in the opportunity.
Yeah, you remember when that submarine exploded, whatever, a couple weeks ago?
Yeah.
Like
Oh,
on
yeah.
that,
Just heard about that.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
crazy.
On that same day, there was a boat, like
800 people.
like 700 or 800 people sunk on this boat that were coming over, I don't know, from like Cuba or something, over to Florida. Think about how desperate you need to be, or how like the hope that you have to get to America
With their
to put your
kids.
kids and family on a. And I saw a video of the boat, dude. There was like people standing on top of people like crazy on this boat. So think about, you know, how bad it is where they are, you know, to put your whole family at risk to get your feet on this ground.
To get the same opportunity that everybody has here.
I'd rather
and nobody
risk
gives a
death
fuck.
than to be here.
Right.
At the end of the day, I'd rather risk dying today.
Right, me dying and my entire family than to stay where they are, right, for an opportunity for more. So if you think about it that way, like every single day that you wake up here, like right away you have an advantage over everybody else in the world, you know, and it's like take that opportunity.
And then there's some cultures in this country that, you know, they think that they don't have the right opportunity and they're, you know, they don't have the right, you know, their upbringing was so difficult. It's like, okay, look at those statistics and look at the immigrants that come here. The immigrants come here with no language, no culture, no understanding of the law, and they come here with a like 100-something% statistically are going to be more successful than those other cultures that are complaining, oh, I don't have this, or I was born in this. Okay, these people come here with no language, no culture, and they do better than you.
Right. Because
So
they'll do whatever it takes too. I just watched something recently on like TikTok where it's like anybody nowadays. It's like if you're like 19 years old and the first job you get doesn't you're not truly passionate about it and you don't love to do it, you know, don't waste any time doing that thing.
Yeah, jump.
You know what I mean? Like I don't feel full of joy every day at 19. Dude, you gotta do whatever it takes for at least a while. You know, like worry about your passion when you're down the road. You know what I'm saying? It's like don't just throw your passion away.
Get your fucking bearings
But you
first.
gotta do things. You gotta work. You gotta find out who you are first. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the culture is right now is too much. Like
Way
work-life
too much.
balance or
Way too
find
much.
your passion. Live. I get it. Trust me, I get it. Like there's, you know, trust me, I get it. But the same time, you know, like I get it. You know, I like. Yeah, I like Florida. Like I like Florida. You know, I like ocean and shit.
Tino, you want to show everybody how tan your shins
Yeah,
are?
I got some tan
Look how
legs.
tan he is versus how. And
I like tan legs, but at the
you
same
look
time,
exceptionally white today.
Yeah.
at the same time, you got to understand the concept of paying your fucking dues, paying your dues, going through it, and building the foundation of work ethic before you'll go on this glorious fucking
Right,
journey
what
of
you're
like
passionate
feeling
about at 19 years old before you have a single clue what's going on is not going to be the same thing that you're passionate about when you're 40.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Like I'm just trying to find out I've learned a ton I'm 35 and I've learned a lot about myself this year in particular, you know. If I was so worried about my passion when I was 20, it would be completely different trajectory of, you know what I'm saying, or of what I'm thinking now, what reality is.
Well, it's what you said, right? When your parents came here, it was a zero options mentality. There was no other option.
No plan B.
There's no plan B, right? Like, we're all in. We got to figure it out. It's either that or we got to go back, which that's not an option to go back. So we have to find a way to make it work.
You said something. You were saying about people waking up and not wanting to work. Like, I don't feel good, right?
Right.
But our generation, or this immigrant mentality we're talking about, or any person that, you know, has a good work ethic, their passion that carries them through their day, or they know that by getting up and going at the end of the day or throughout the day, that feeling of I didn't feel good became I feel so good, I had a good day.
Right.
It's like you're bullshitting that you don't feel good.
Right, exactly. Exactly.
Like, it's bullshit.
It's in your brain, yeah.
You know?
The other thing that he mentioned was being like a school's not for you type of guy. The reason why we do this show is to find these common denominators or find these common characteristics of these entrepreneurs, right? And one of the major things that we've seen is school is not for a lot of people that are entrepreneurs. Yeah. We've had 9-figure, $400, $300 million business owners, and every single one of them I feel like is school just wasn't for me. I was a C student.
Yeah, it's
I
like
was
a prerequisite. ADD
and
school's not for me.
Exactly. ADD school was not for me, and then maybe, you know, they tried some, you know.
Yeah, it's put it this way. It's more rare than not. Like, we've had a couple people on that were like pretty good students, but it's more like, okay, whatever you put your mind to is what you'll be good at, right? Like, I remember that was like a common thread growing up. I actually found a bunch of notes from my school, like when I was in elementary school. It's like, he never pays attention, but when he does, like, he's good, he's smart, he's all in. But if he doesn't care about the subject, like, forget it. You can't get him to pay attention to anything.
That's a really good point. And I'm promoting what it wasn't good for me, not for like other people. But what was awesome about school, socializing with people and learning how to communicate, playing sports and understanding teamwork and respect on a court or on a field.
Right.
Math, you know, understanding how to juggle numbers early. And so there was some really, really great things about school. But then, you know, when it came to, you know, a certain religion, I went to Catholic school. I had to study religion. I'm not sure how that was going to help me.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew it wasn't going to help me. So I lost disinterest in that. And you get a friggin' F in that. It brings everything else, the whole system is a little left up.
Yeah.
And then today, the things that I'm chasing, you know, understanding how to set professional and personal goals. Like, where was that in school?
Right.
Like,
exactly.
Understanding how to read a profit and loss statement. Why did I have to wait till I was 42 and figure this stuff out?
Right.
You know, why couldn't somebody have showed me this? Well, you didn't take accounting class. Yeah, but accounting class doesn't come till friggin' you go to college.
Right.
What about like training kids early when we're actually sponging in so much at a much younger age?
Mm-hmm.
Then somebody's saying, well, you're not ready for that. Well, in Italy, we were doing pre-algebra in 3rd grade. In Italy, the schools are so much more advanced. The colleges are behind. Universities are behind. So that's why so much comes here to America.
Interesting.
But I mean, I came here and I was disinterested in math, which was my favorite subject. Because in friggin' 6th grade, people were struggling to do 12 times 12.
Right.
I'm like, I already learned that. I was friggin' in 2nd grade.
144.
I was just thinking the same thing. 144.
Yeah. I want to be the first one. 144.
I was going to say 244.
That's why. Yeah, that's why Angelo does our finances.
No, not a math guy.
But yeah, so that brings us to the 2017, and one of the questions I want to know is how did that conversation come? Because, you know, my parents have businesses, and the idea of like us buying our parents out is kind of like a sensitive subject, kind of. You know, it's a huge moment. So like, how did that conversation?
Emotions and shit.
Exactly. How did that conversation even happen? To say like, hey, Ma, or family, like, what if you pass the range to me and I'm gonna put a figure on it?
You know, first of all, you have to be prepared to prove that you're able and willing to lead and manage and grow. So you got to get to a point where that conversation is extremely makes sense to a person like my mom, who's been the chief bottle officer to every department in the company. So when you start working for your mother in 2010, from 1999, so I exited the business in 1998. The barbershop moved over next door. He moved out. I decided to open up this little pasta concept. We're gonna do this: pick your pasta, pick your sauce. In that moment, I did that because I feel like I was again in this moment of constraint. You're not ready. But I'm trying to be ready. You're not ready. Okay? But if I don't start something, when am I going to be ready? So there's just this punching back and forth, and you're doing it with the person that loves you most, which is the hardest friggin' thing in the world.
Yeah.
Because you're limited to so much things you can say, but at some point there's an eruption, and then you say the things that are so not right that set you back, and it's like, fuck, I gotta climb this hill again.
Yeah.
So I said, you know what? I'm gonna go to culinary school. Went to Cambridge School of Culinary Arts. And I was doing it at the time to learn how to be actually a better salesperson, how to be in a kitchen and like be receptive with mise en place and language that the chef could relate to, so that I didn't look like, a kid with a hat on just walking in trying to sell pasta, that I was more professional.
Yeah.
Right? Trying to get out of that rookie phase. I fell in love with Domino's delivering pizza at night. Like there was this thing that I was just like, look at the way this company's growing. They actually on their documents admit they have the worst product in the world with the best delivery system in the world. And they're one of the fastest, most profitable pizza companies in the world. I'm like, wow, that's pretty cool. I wonder if I could deliver fresh pasta meals in the middle of the night. And so I started this thing, and I was into this pick your pasta, pick your sauce concept. And it was kind of crazy because it was a plan that my father had with my mom. So I always had that business plan. Like it was always near me. And they wanted to open up factories, come to America, open up 10 factories, and either sell it and move back to Switzerland, where they wanted to raise us, or use those factories first to establish food service and then to spike it out and have satellites with all these little pasta places like a Starbucks chain. So set the family security up through the manufacturing cycle, and then have security so that nobody could take that business away, and take care of franchisees, kind of like Domino's and all these businesses. When Papa died, all that stopped. So when the barbershop moved out and I graduated culinary school, I said, you know what? I'm going to open up a little pasta place next door. And it started doing well. I started just, sauteing, doing these things. But there was one thing in my life at the time that was setting me back. And when my father died, I got addicted to gambling. And it really just fucking kicked my ass. So, I literally woke up every day with this, almost like a second person was waking up. I was trying to forget all this bullshit that I was doing that was holding me back. But yet I was responsible to get to work and get it done. So I was just torturing myself. And then on Saturday mornings, I couldn't even take out my girl for a coffee or buy my mother a card on Christmas. It was brutal. It took my life for about 20 years.
Holy shit.
Yeah. So, but one thing that I figured out is that this concept was working. So I opened up one unit. I opened up a second unit in Fenway Park. That unit stayed open till midnight. Then I opened one in Alston. And that one went till 3 a.m. So I had a license till 2 a.m. I would literally drive up and down Memorial Drive at all the schools and deliver pasta, and built $1 million business at each one of these units.
Wow.
And the money was going to the guy on Friday inside the Cadillac,
Yeah.
So anyhow, in 2010, my mom's sales, as I got into this restaurant business, my mom's sales started tanking. She had no more salesperson. I was the salesperson. I was carrying that boat. I was delivering the pasta. I was, growing. But my mom's business she didn't have representation in the street. So you can imagine, no representation, your business starts to go down. And in 2010, she says, I'm going to sell the business. If you're going to stay in this restaurant business, and I came here in this country to open up this factory, build a foundation for you guys. And I said, oh, fuck. The factory is the only way that this concept is going to evolve. I got to figure out how to now do something else. I didn't think about that. So I dissolved the franchise, went back to work, sold everything to get out of debt. And now I'm 35 years old. This is 13 years ago. I'm 35 years old, and I got $89 in my pocket. And my ex-brother-in-law hooked me up with Awaken the Giant from Tony Robbins.
Great book.
Yeah. And I didn't do the book. I did the audio book. And that really was the beginning of unlocking and figuring out how to shift habits and get rid of the bad things that were just diluting me. I'll never forget $300 that first Friday. That first check she gave me was $300. I'm 35 years old, and I looked at it. I said, Ma, I can't even fill up my tank and wash my car. She goes, you haven't figured anything else yet. Take you to McDonald's down the street. That was probably one of the best things that electrified me. I was like, whoa. Go knock on doors, stop building the business. I lost $100,000 every year in this business, and we'll figure it out. And so in my mind, I said, if I start doing the right thing, someday I'm going to be able to build this business. Because my mom has no reason to trust me to sell me this business. Because even though I've worked my ass off, I've showed her that I'm a loser. I can't take care of myself. I'm not going to be able to take care of a wife. I'm not going to be able to take care of a family. Who the hell am I to want the entitlement of this business just because I've been coming here every day all my whole life? You gotta do more than that. And so I took the company. It was at $500,000. And by 2018, when my mom looked at the books and said, holy shit, this company in just 7 years has 10x. My son 10x this company.
That's awesome.
From 500 to 5 million. I said, Mike, can we start talking about buying the business now?
Conversation open,
10 years, yeah.
And so, it took another 2.5 years for that. It happened in 2018. And, I've kind of just never looked back. Now I want to 10X it again. But what's happening now, to answer the question, is it's all about the people.
Yeah.
And I had to work on myself. Like, I had to figure out how to reach out to other personal development mentors, books, and just try to figure out what's the real key ingredient. And it comes back to influence and an example. And I'm like, wow, that's what my mother did her whole life. Work her ass off and make a great product. She influenced me to eventually find my passion. See, you don't just find passion.
Right.
It just, half the people that tell you I'm passionate about something, if you truly ask them, what is that something? Well, I like to cook pasta. I really love it. That's why I'm so passionate about wanting to work with you. I love cooking pasta. That's not passion. You love cooking pasta, but there's something else. There's something that has to come out of that conversation that proves there's an obsession somewhere.
Yeah.
Right.
Because that's what's going to carry you through the storms, through the bad days, because they're going to come for you. Those days where you don't feel like working, that's what ignites that extra, gear. So, yeah.
And then let's talk during COVID.
Yeah.
A lot of the entrepreneurs we talk about, these COVID, the COVID bump was a huge hurdle for them. So how did you get through that? Because in the pasta business, restaurants were shut down.
Yeah. Yeah, that was hell, man. That was hell because, here's another reason why you must stay focused on finding different ways. You can't just think there's always an opportunity. And so we were always white tablecloth, high-end restaurants. And so we always never really paid attention to pizza places, which is one of my fastest growing segments right now. I never saw that. If it wasn't for COVID, I never would have went up to a pizza place in my life. And so while all the white tablecloths closed and restaurants were down, who was kicking ass? Pizza delivery.
Yeah, takeout, yeah.
And so I'm just like, the guys that I started approaching, yeah, sure. The guy down the street's closed. He gets $30 for a dish of pasta. That's great. I'll put it on you for $18, $19. Let's try it out. Try it as a special, little by little. And all of a sudden, wow, no, I blew out of the fresh pasta. People like it. Travels really well, by the way. Holds up really good in the container. Things that I'm like, yeah, no shit. Like, wow, you're teaching me something that I should know. This is what I mean about really keeping an open mind, that you just really, if you listen all day long, you're going to find so much success. There's so much clues that just are right in front of us half the times. That's what really turned the business around. Yeah. Is approaching all these takeouts.
Yeah.
And it sounds like a pivot moment. So there's so many pivot moments in these businesses too. So some people think when they get in business, like it's like a very clear path. Like the roadmap is just, I'm going to start here, I'm going to go there, and it's going to be a straight line.
Yeah.
But they don't realize there's always these huge pivot moments, like that pivot moment, instead of going to the white cloth, we're going to go to pizza places. Like that's a huge moment, but now look what it did. Now it's there's probably 10x more pizza places than, those other type of fine dining restaurants, for you to start servicing.
Yeah. One thing you told us earlier that I think would be valuable for people to hear is like what, at that, when you bought the company, right? Then COVID hit, and then you had a pivot. And I think you said you went to Florida, right?
Yeah.
And you had a strategy or whatever. You figured something out.
Yeah, before COVID, like every year, our business, my mother, oh my God, December's coming. The credit card bills, the this, the that. The business is gonna slow down. Everything shuts down. It's slow. It's cold. Nobody's call. All this stuff from right after Thanksgiving, December, January, February, always just stone cold, ugly months. So I said, wow, Florida's booming in those months.
Yeah.
I said, I got to figure out how to get down there. So that's exactly what I did in 2019. I was going down there just for fun. So I started feeling a little bit of success. Obviously, 8-9 years, I just bought the company. I'm doing good. I want to take my weekends off. I'm working hard. And I started going down there just for fun at first. And as I was taking out friends or going out, I was meeting restaurant owners. And I was like talking about my pasta. Sure, sample it. All of a sudden, my phone started ringing. This pasta is really good. And the bells went off. I got to figure out how to get down here. This is great. This is perfect. This is what I need. And so I started just banging on doors. Almost 3,000 cases sold in 90 days.
Wow.
That's a lot in food service.
That's a lot.
So I just want people to understand. So you went door to door, knocking on houses or knocking on restaurants.
Restaurants, yeah.
And saying, "Hey, how's it going? My name's so and so. I'm from I'm from Boston, but I got this pasta." Yeah. Huge lesson there. Yeah. To after you own a business, because there's some people when they get to a certain success, they think they're too good for certain things.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm the CEO of this. I'm this. I don't need to drive. I don't need to deliver. I don't need to do that. The lesson to that is you rolled your sleeves up and said, "Fuck that. I'm gonna do this myself.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go down here. There's a market. I'm gonna prove it, and then we're gonna go from there."
2 hours ago before I came here, I went to Newburyport to a restaurant. And on the way out, the owner says, "Ando, can I walk you to your car? Just walk you back, help you carry the tray, something." I say, "Yeah, sure, Luca, help me back." And he says to me, I'm just friggin' surprised. I thought this morning you were going to either call me, you're too busy, or something came up. Like, what are you doing up here? Like, you delivered my product. And I'm looking at him and I was like, why is he asking me this right now? This is what I do.
Right.
This is what I love to do.
Right.
Like, you had a problem. I lost your business and I didn't know about it for 2 weeks. I'm here to find out why, what happened, and I just restored the business. And the fact that he said that to me, I was like, wow. Can you imagine how simple it was to just help somebody and build more trust?
Yeah. So down in Florida, you basically built a business down there, right? Where you didn't have any sales previously, right?
No sales at all. $500,000 and just $500,000 business built in 3-4 months. Was able to take that revenue per head, invest it into a person, hire her. Now she's just knocking it out of the park, growing the business down there. Now we're in 7 distributors down there.
Wow.
I have a house down there. I spend 6 months out of the year down there. So I'm still involved in going into that market, penetrating. And now all that energy's coming up to Georgia, into the Carolinas. We're officially up and down in every state, up and down the East Coast now.
Awesome.
So how does logistics work for that? Because I know that, for us, that's...
Well, you're distributors, right?
Take a lot of losses to get started.
Yeah, exactly.
Do whatever it takes to make it work. Even
Right.
if sometimes you have to lose.
Right.
And that's not a recipe for success, but it's a recipe to get started.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. In order, because you're working at scale, right? So it's like you gotta take the losses in the beginning until you build up the business enough where it starts to, you start getting your margin back.
Yeah, getting those trucks full. The
Right.
more you fill those trucks, the lower that case is going to be. You got to get, the average case going up and down the East Coast is $5-6.
Right.
So if your box is only $25, think about that. 30% of that box is a delivery cost. That's getting pushed over to somebody. You can't take that hit for too long.
Right.
Fortunately, pasta, with all these expenses built into it, when you open up the box and you go to serve it at the restaurant, 21, 22 cents an ounce for fresh pasta.
Yeah.
5 ounces, $1.25, $1.50 for a beautiful fresh rigatoni.
Right.
Can you make it yourself or buy it locally for 5-6 cents less? Yeah, you can. Is there a reason why somebody wants to do business with you? I hope it's not just because of the pasta.
Yeah.
I think it's the value of the relationship that's more important than the case.
Yeah. Now, being in the restaurant business, I could tell you that it's big on relationship. Like, what happens is that new chefs will come in. They're like, "Oh, I have someone else I want to bring in." I'm like, "No, we got to stick with the people that we have, because when shit hits the fan on a Saturday or Sunday, we're out of product. Someone's gonna bring it. They know our business. Like they care about our business." Actually, it was a couple of weeks ago where I was at our new restaurant, and I'm looking around, and like 4 of the vendors that we do business with are just in the dining room eating dinner, and I'm like, holy shit. And Dad was with me. We were just kind of walking around, and everybody on their way out was like coming to say hi to me and stuff.
Yeah,
like
we must be a good account. I've noticed that too. I'm like, dude, everyone's here.
What the fuck?
We must be a good account now.
Yeah.
Good feeling, right?
Honestly, I had a sense of pride. I'm like, look at this. This is why we've been in the restaurant for 15 years now, which is crazy to think
guys.
about. Yeah.
It's hard to do it successfully every year.
Congrats. Yeah, it's crazy to think about. And I'm looking around saying, like, this is what's important, is like we've created these relationships. So I don't give a shit if somebody comes over here. We could save like 50 cents a case.
Yeah.
This to me it means more than that 50 cents a case.
Well said.
Yeah, that was like a little moment that we had a couple of weeks ago, and it felt good. So, what's the next step for Lilly? It's like, what's the goal? I know you're doing a lot of personal development stuff, and one thing you talked about earlier that I just wanted to reiterate is when you were going through that struggle you said I needed to work on myself, right?
Yeah.
You need to develop yourself
Yeah.
personally. And one of my favorite like sayings that that people talk about is that your business will never outgrow your personal development. So as you develop yourself as a person, your business, the leaders around you, will go. But you can't be a shitbag and your business is going to be great. It's never going to happen, right?
Yeah.
You got to be great first, and then your business will follow. So I know that's something that you've been working on. It's a continuous thing that all of us work on, all of us who care and have a vision and a goal for the future. Like what, is your goal to be completely national distribution? Or are you trying to fill the East Coast? Like what's the future hold for Lilly's?
Yeah, I think it's most important to develop people that can actually be the contribution factor of why something becomes a legacy. So it's leading with an intention to, hate to say the word dominate, but internally as a team, you want to make the best product. You want to have the best people. You want to nurture those two things.
Yeah.
And so national coverage is a map. To me, that's just a goal. It's a map. And what that equivalates in money is it's a goal. It's like something you're chasing. But the excitement of the unknown and to grow the opportunity and to find out who those people are that are going to be there with you for 20 years to build a legacy, that ultimately you have to step back.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you step back, have you done enough to inspire this next generation that wants to continue that? That to me would be awesome. Right? So I think if I just do all the things and I keep working hard and I keep showing a desire for excellence, and what is excellence, by the way? It's just waking up in an ordinary way, just like every friggin' human in this room, and then doing a lot of great things well every day so that you inspire those people around you.
Yeah.
And that's what I feel like we have right now. We could not be doing what we're doing. I could not be doing what I'm doing by myself. It's just that simple.
Yeah.
So I think what's next for Lilly's is national coverage is definitely something that we've already accomplished. Like we're in 48 out of the 50 states.
Oh, nice.
So now there's a lot of little, seeds that have to grow. So as you see me on social media, I'm flying in every single one of these markets. It looks great, but it's a lot of hard work. It's back to that Florida journey. That Florida journey is every week going into a market and building relationships. And fortunately, I'm doing it with a product that I love.
Yeah.
That's at the bottom,
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So we always wrap up here with like a final question, right? That we, we're always asking our people here. So what is like the best, if you can give somebody one piece of advice, right? Either this could be advice that you got from someone that you look up to. What's one piece of advice that you could pass on to other entrepreneurs who are looking to start or maybe struggling right now or in a difficult situation? Like what's the best piece of advice you could pass on to somebody?
Yeah. Internalize everything yourself. Find comfort when you're alone and find discomfort around a lot of moving parts. Look for that discomfort constantly, opportunities everywhere. My best piece of advice is whoever your significant other is in your life, husband, wife, whatever it is, that to me is my secret ingredient. I get to wake up next to a person that's helping me build my business, but not just helping, she's contributing to the business. And I believe that you have somebody in your life at some point that you have to share this with. There's something really exciting about being with somebody, building a family.
Yeah.
And so those things are, to me, the best advice is find somebody that appreciates your space, supports your space, and then make them a part of it. Because if not, you're going to outgrow it and you're going to destroy something that you really need in the end.
Yeah, picking your partner wisely is a big one.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man, it's a big one.
Biggest decision you can ever make is
Listen, I wore this shirt here today.
Yeah, it's like, it is
definitely flies under the radar though. It doesn't get talked about at all
Oof,
as far as like
man,
an entrepreneurship's journey. I mean, but it's a part of every single person's journey.
Yeah, if your rock isn't about it, and they're not supporting you or appreciate what you're doing during the process, and just look at you like you're just another Joe Schmo just trying to like work and whatever,
Or pulling you
No
away
way.
from
pulling
it.
you down.
Yeah.
Pulling you down. Yeah, they could literally change the whole trajectory of everything.
Yeah, don't force anything too.
Right.
Like don't force anything. Don't shove and push shit. Force yourself to do more and fight and do that between you and you.
Yeah.
Like look for the extra couple of things you need to do to be better than yesterday. That's between you and you. But don't push anybody. Let your influence, let your examples pull you up and push you up and vice versa to other people around you. And they will. And that's the best feeling what are people saying in the room when you're really not there? That's been a quote that's been said by a lot of people. It's one thing when people are saying when you're there, but what's really being said when you're not there?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a big one.
It's a judge in your character right there, right? All right, my friend. Thank you.
Thanks. Yeah, absolutely.
All right, guys. That's a wrap.